fragments.
Keep your head up.
Repetition.
What?
I appreciate you talking to me about this. I mean, this film is going to sit with me for a while, I think, which I would imagine is partly the point. And this movie feels very much like it would have been something very different in another filmmaker's hands. It has a real vibe to it. So when this came your way, did it start with reading the script? Did it start with a conversation with Kristen? Like, how did you get a sense of how she wanted to approach this?
Well, I got sent the script, but, I heard Kristen was directing her first film, and then I read the script and I made a tape for it because it was like the most unique piece of writing. And to choose this material, to adapt that as your first feature, now knowing her as well as I do, it makes complete sense. But the fabric of it was just deeply, deeply emotionally intelligent. It was really compelling. And as you say, in terms of like vibe and tone, like you just know if this is what they're choosing to make, that person has to be put together in a certain way, right? In order to want to pull it off. And it really, really exists as its own thing. It was really cool. And, I'm so proud of her. I mean, it's just like, she's a unique standalone artist, and we need more of that.
When you did read this script for the first time, was it pretty close to what we see now, or was this something that kept evolving and developing as you guys went throughout this journey together?
It'd be hard to say. I mean, obviously I read the book quite a few times, and I read the screenplay, and we worked through it, and there's a lot of stuff in the screenplay that didn't make it into the film. We shot everything. We have a lot of footage that simply just didn't make it in. I'm sure because, film is a different medium. And so there were things that didn't necessarily add to the story, or because the book itself is quite elliptical and repetitive, perhaps there's moments where it's like visually you don't need to have that story told in the same way. But in terms of the sense of it, and Kristen's referred to it very much as like a scrapbook, like a kind of collage of a life, I think those elements carried through. And so they kind of exist as different complementary art pieces of the same story, but there was no like drastic change. I think in terms of seeing the final film for the first time, it was very close to what I always hoped and dreamed it would be for, the both of us.
It feels like it might have been kind of out of body to see this film for the first time. I mean, did it feel that way in a sense? Because it seems like you must have just gone through so much emotionally making this.
Yeah, this is a specific one for sure as well, because I think the stakes are so high emotionally. I care so much about Kristen and this for her, and I know she feels the same way about me. So we're both carrying each other's stuff. And seeing it for the first time, I'd seen snippets, but we watched it for the first time together in Cannes. And yeah, we were just these two little bodies in this auditorium, just it's very, very intense, and it's hard to watch yourself, but the pleasure was watching this movie, which I just am in awe of it. I think she's made something really spectacular, and it's hard when you're in it because you have to confront that, but what are you going to do? It's part of the whole jangle.
I read that this material scared you and that was the draw. What most scared you about it? How did you push through and embrace that when it came to actually tackling it?
Well, I think if I used that word scared, I probably meant in the sense of it was clearly, you want to get it right with everything. And of course you can't get it right, because what does that even mean? So you want to deliver. I wanted to sort of have the physicality of a swimmer. I wanted to be there every day. I mean, it's a sort of unreliable mystic thing that we're there to do, and you just hope that everything turns up on the day when it's supposed to. And every day was hard. Every day had its sort of trials and the things we had to overcome, but that's just the nature of making independent film, and I'd much rather take those challenges than I would sort of turn up and sleepwalk through a day at work, because you can just do whatever you want and get away with it. I think that this really mattered to both of us. And I hope that I'm always really scared by this is like a door sort of coming off the hinges over there. I hope that I'm always really like charged by stuff in every element of life. I don't want to live a passive life. That sounds...
Yeah. Watching you in this film, it sort of feels like at any time you might just get swept away by what she's going through and how she's dealing with everything. What grounded you in this character and with her world as you were playing her? Did it feel more challenging to stay grounded with her before she really finds her voice and steps into her own strength?
She's such a present person, even though a lot of the film is about memory and about sort of reframing and nostalgia and sort of what a disease that is and how kind of misleading it is sometimes. And I think just like the grounding elements are always looking into someone else's eyes. And Thora Birch, the scenes with her, they were incredibly grounding to me. Kristen was incredibly grounding to me. It's the consistencies amidst the chaos, right? Which kind of give you permission to pause. But really the entire project was sort of like a flying by the seat of our pants experience. And it was always going to be thus. And I think in terms of grounding, that probably came months after we'd wrapped. But, you know, in the set, we were kind of, there's just something like molecular that happens when you're trying to achieve something in a short span of time that relies on these kind of mystical things.
What was it like to find that collaboration alongside Kristen on this? I mean, it's kind of unusual that you do a project like this as actor and director as peers. I mean, you guys are the same age. You're doing this deep exploration of this character. She is also a woman. I mean, how did all of that enrich the experience and your performance in this? It
was like the honor of my creative life to do this with her. We are the same age, and I think we both feel in our own ways, in terms of the life we've been living and being alive right now, things are changing rapidly for the both of us in terms of how we feel, how we interpret the world, what we're letting in, what we're sort of resistant to. I mean, all of that. To share that with someone is an incredible thing. To share that with someone creatively and therefore professionally was huge. It was a huge thing to experience together and to discover together. And it almost sometimes like felt like being in a band or something. Like it was just that kind of a rush and that kind of a unspoken agreement that you were there to sort of do something together and make something with this one life that you have, was a really, really special experience. And Kristen is such a huge part of my life now. And that comes from going into the depths with somebody and all the time spent and all of the honesty and all of the ability to just kind of be with each other. It's really cool. I mean, I just think it's really exciting as well to be able to talk about this film and talk with her and try and not speak in platitudes and try and sort of really be honest about the fact that it's all kind of messy and it's all kind of inconsistent. And when you let go of the performative nature of being alive or being an actress or being a director, it feels good just to try and be as honest as we can about what it is to collaborate and what it is to make something and how hard that was, but how valuable, you know?
While this seems like it would have been a really challenging journey to take with the character, what did you love about her and who she ultimately ended up becoming?
I loved her from reading her memoir. I loved how there was there's such grace to owning up to your own life. And there were moments where Lidia takes responsibility for the things that she's done. There are also things that have happened to her. And there's a lot of words bandied around like strength and vulnerability and fragility and victim. And really, this is just a person who, in the face of events that occurred in their childhood and also happened to their sibling, is attempting to live a different life. And that's so noble and it's so impressive. And in reaction to the things that have happened to you or have been taken from you, is trying to kind of survive. And the way that she transforms that, some of it still lives within you, it never disappears, but transforms that into art is just really impressive to me and miraculous. And her mentor in Ken Kesey, I read all of the beatniks, as we all did, you go through that phase, and it's like Burroughs and Kerouac, and you read all these guys, and Lydia's prose is just quite stunning, and the way that she understands nature is very authentic, and how she sees nature, and I really connected to that. But it's great. I mean, she's a true artist, and it's not even corny, because it's just who she is, and I think that both Kristen and I were just deeply excited by that.
Have you and Kristen talked about already reuniting and doing another project together, whether it's the two of you acting together or just being directed by her again?
Yeah, I think if we could, we would just do that forever now. I think that's our dream. That's the dream plan.
Yeah, I'm sure it gets addictive. Like, once it goes well and you have a good experience, I'm sure that gets addicting. You want to work with the same people.
She's just amazing. She's one of the greatest directors I've ever worked with in my life. She's going to go on to make so many features and so many things. She can make whatever she wants. And as an actress, I admired her my whole life, because I think people underestimate that this person is a movie star. And to go and make your first feature with the exposure and the kind of pressure of that, it's a huge thing to go and do. And for it to be this piece of material as well. And also just in the way that where Kristen started out, and then to go and work with these auteurs post being part of such a kind of huge franchise, it's just someone who's really doing stuff their way. And I think that's really cool.
Did it inspire you to want to try directing yourself, or does it make you realize that other people should do that job and you want to stick with the acting side of it?
Well, I think the whole other people thing is, I don't know if that tracks with me, because I think everyone should try something if they want to. I think that's really, really important, but it's uncomfortable to talk about it in the sense of I've just worked with someone who's an emotional athlete and has made this incredible film shot on film. It would feel sort of inappropriate to be like, yeah, I want to do that. I mean, I don't even know what it is, what she's just pulled off, but I want to make things. I think that's the only way I understand how to live life more and more. And that's what I mean about us both meeting at the age we are, where it's we just need to make things. And of course, part of the path of making things is, failure too, and the sting of that. And then you can overcome that. And that's sort of interesting.
I love that you've had Hedda and this film come out in the same year, because they are such diverse projects. And I love when, as viewers, we're given the opportunity to see someone have such diverse projects in the same year. How do you follow that up? Does your last project always affect what interests you in the next project?
It depends. I mean, you can end up sometimes playing, similar roles. And I think that often you play one part and then everyone's like, she played a red teapot in that. Let's send her all the red teapots. But sometimes there's another really good red teapot and you got to go do it because it's one of your favorite filmmakers. Yeah. But I think it just comes down to the person making the project. And who I always used to be led by who I got to do it with. And I think that always really matters. That's always really exciting to me. But yeah, playing, that's the whole point of acting. And sometimes you don't get that chance to sort of play as many different things as you want to or you could, because there's such a sort of disease of a lack of imagination where, people panic because they can only understand something by comparing it to something else, right? So it's always alarming if someone attempts something different. It's you can't do that, you're this. And it's very important to break that down.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so exciting to watch this. I mean, this is certainly a film that you can't really compare to anything else. And cool. The work that both of you did was so terrific to watch.
Thank
the two of you come up with this together. So
thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.